Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we've got a really chilling true story for you, coming from a small village in Maharashtra. It was shared by a woman named Radhika about her cousin Diksha, and it is a haunting look at how something as simple as jealousy can absolutely shatter a person's life. And this whole story really boils down to one incredibly unsettling question. What happens when envy twists into something truly evil, especially when it's coming from the people you're supposed to be able to trust the most? All right, so let's set the scene. The year is 2013. For two cousins, Diksha and Radhika, life was pretty much perfect. They were as close as sisters in their final year of college and just about to step into the rest of their lives. I mean, they weren't just cousins, they were best friends. They lived right next door to each other, went to the same little village college, which, by the way, was built inside this huge old mango grove. Their special spot was this swing they'd set up under a massive banyan tree. That's where they'd spend hours just talking and dreaming about the future. And for Diksha, ma'am, the future was looking so bright. Her marriage was all set with a wonderful guy named Rohit. Everything was falling into place. She had every reason in the world to be happy. But then, on what seemed like just another ordinary afternoon at college, that peaceful, happy picture was about to be completely ripped apart. So Diksha stepped out of class for just a couple of minutes. But when she came back, she was like a different person. Totally silent, wouldn't say a word, just sat there with this blank, empty stare. Radhika, she was worried, thought maybe Diksha had a fight with her fiancé or something. But this felt way, way stranger. And this wasn't just a weird mood swing. Oh no. What started as just odd quickly spiraled into something much, much darker. Diksha's behavior became more and more terrifying. Okay, so look at how fast things went downhill. That very same afternoon in class, her body just starts vibrating violently, almost like she's having a seizure. They rush her to the hospital, but every single test comes back normal. Nothing wrong. That evening, they find her unconscious with white foam coming out of her mouth. The next night, she disappears from her bed. They find her on the roof of the house, just laughing. And then came the morning that scarred everyone for life. She gets up, calmly walks over to the family's outdoor cooking stove, reaches right in and picks up a handful of red-hot, burning coals. Her family is screaming. They're trying to pull them from her hands. And Diksha, she doesn't cry out in pain. She just laughs. Radhika said this sound was so loud it was like it was piercing her ears. At this point, the family was at their wits' end. They were convinced this wasn't medical. Doctors had zero answers. Her grandfather, completely desperate, insisted they take her to a local priest. Even though, funnily enough, her uncle and aunt were loudly protesting the idea. So they carried Diksha, who was basically a shell of herself, to the priest. And the priest, he barely had to look at her before he confirmed their absolute worst, unspoken fear. This wasn't a sickness. No, this was something else entirely. The priest gave them a name for it. Something rooted not in medicine, but in dark tradition. He told them that Diksha was the victim of a very powerful kind of black magic called Maran Kriya. He said it's basically a death ritual, a curse with one single horrible purpose, to make the victim take their own life. But here's the part that is just gut-wrenching. The priest revealed who was behind it all. It wasn't some stranger, some enemy from the past. The people who had cursed Diksha were her own family. Her uncle and aunt who were living right there in the same house. So, why? Why would your own family do something so monstrous? Well, the priest explained it was this toxic cocktail of greed over property and just raw, deep-seated jealousy. Okay, so there were two big things going on here. First, a property dispute. The grandfather had split the family property right down the middle, 50-50, between his two sons' families. But the uncle thought his family deserved all of it, especially for his disabled son. But the real breaking point was the marriage proposal. Rohit's family had actually come to see the uncle's daughter, Gunjan. But when they saw Diksha, they rejected Gunjan and asked for Diksha's hand instead. That humiliation, that public rejection, was the last straw. The priest then laid out exactly how they did it. The curse was delivered through enchanted food that their cousin Gunjan gave to Diksha, right there at their beloved banyan tree swing. And then he gave them a chilling warning. This kind of curse takes 7 to 8 days to fully possess someone. After that, the victim is completely overcome with the urge to kill themselves, and several days had already passed. They were running out of time.
All right, so with this horrifying truth out in the open, it was an absolute race against the clock for Diksha's family to save her. They didn't waste a second. A priest was brought to their home the very next morning to perform a havan, a sacred purification ritual using fire, with Diksha right at the center of it. It was literally a spiritual battle, fighting dark magic with faith.
And while this ceremony was going on, the uncle comes back home, all alone, his face just a mask of fear and guilt. His wife and kids, they had already packed up and fled. The village elders immediately banished him, kicked him out in total disgrace. And miraculously, as the curse was broken, Diksha started to come back. Her energy, her laugh, her spirit, it all returned.
And in just this incredible turn of events, Diksha went on to live the exact beautiful life her aunt and uncle tried so desperately to steal from her. Today, she's happily married to Rohit. They have 2 wonderful kids. And in the ultimate twist of fate, that entire family property they were so jealous of, yeah, it all belongs to her now.
This story is just a terrifying reminder of a really dark truth. As the narrator Radhika put it, jealousy is an incredibly powerful poison. And sometimes, the people you really need to watch out for aren't strangers lurking in the shadows, but the ones smiling at you from across your own dinner table.